Welcome to the One in the Shibal podcast with Susie and Ed.
We're just two Asian Americans talking shit about shit.
While holding a puppy.
And dogs and sweaters. Look at your sweater. It's your holiday sweater. You look like a little lumberjack.
P.S. That's a double X small, and it's still too big on him. I was having such a hard time finding clothes for him.
I bet.
And people online were like, oh, just put him in a sock. And then,
just cut a hole in the sock.
and then stupid me, I kept thinking of like cutting open an old sock. And I was like, no, that's no way for my dog to live. And people were like, just get him a new sock. And I was like, oh. Right. New socks.
Hi, Ed. Long
Hi.
time no see. How are you?
It's been a minute.
I know. The holidays, man. The fucking crush. But I'm so glad that I'm back to my routine. I can't even tell you. I went to the gym this morning. I came home. I got the kids up ready for school. Went to the gym. Came home. I was like, oh, thank God. Because the holidays, after the week I've had, I can't even talk about it. I don't know. I don't know if I want to bore our listeners with what I just told you.
I don't think it's gonna be boring.
You guys want to hear it? No.
Make sure you're sitting. If you pull over.
Yeah. Where do I start? Okay, so Christmas comes and goes. It's lovely, gifts, all that, great.
That is the worst.
No, like family dinner, whatever.
Family stuff, whatever. It was
No,
great.
I'm saying it was uneventful.
No,
Listen,
I know.
After what I'm about to tell you, you'll
teasing.
realize why that was the highlight. So then the day after Christmas, we planned to go visit my sister in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband couldn't come. So it was going to be myself, my two daughters, my younger sister, her husband, her two daughters, my parents going to visit my sister who lives with her husband and her son and her daughter. So there's 13 of us descending upon the Midwest to my sister's house. Now, fortunately, my sister lives in like a fucking palace because you can buy a palace there for like $100.
And she's a lawyer.
And she's a lawyer, and her husband is a scientist. So they live in like a fucking palace. Yeah. This house is gorgeous. It's huge.
Couple.
They're like when people say like, "Oh, you live in your mom's basement." I'm like, if you lived in my sister's basement, you'd be stoked. It's like 3-bedroom basement.
Oh my God.
Pool table, dartboard, refrigerator, like the whole thing. Like it's like a whole. They had the VR headsets. Like they are hooked up.
Oh, you guys at least had stuff to do.
It was amazing. It was
during
so fun.
What you're about to hear.
So we get there. And it's so lovely. It's like cold and we're having so much fun. We're hanging out inside.
Ooh, did it snow?
It snowed a little bit.
Ooh.
Which is so nice. And then my younger daughter, on the second day we're there, she's like, Mommy, my tummy hurts. And I was like, oh, maybe you ate something bad. That's not good.
Yeah.
Darn airplane. Mommy, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. So she goes to the bathroom. She comes back. She goes, I threw up. And I was like, you threw up? What do you mean you threw up? Like throwing up is not a good thing. But kids throw up.
Yeah.
I was a kid that threw up. So I was like, okay, well, just sit there and let's just see. And she is an eater. Like she loves good food. She loves trying new things. We're at this restaurant that has all this amazing food. And she's like, I don't want to eat anything. I was like, oh no. Something's really, really wrong. Because she'd be like, I want to try the octopus. I want to try the Calabrian chili peppercorn sauce. She would really go for it.
She's really that adventurous.
She is. It's so cute. But she ate literally a crust of bread and was like, I don't want to eat anything else. And I was like, oh my God. So then we go home and she throws up again. I was like, oh no. So I'm worried about her, of course. Then who was next? Then my other daughter, she gets sick. I was like, oh no.
That makes sense.
So then my niece gets sick. My other niece gets sick. My older sister gets sick. Then I get sick. So we all had this horrible wave of norovirus hit the house. And when I tell you, it was fucking horrible. But it was the worst part though was like waiting to see who's next.
Oh, no.
It was like Russian roulette. It was like, is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be your child?
Wait, did you guys like quarantine off in the house? The sick and the non-sick?
It had already like spread. Like
So
we didn't know. We had already shared food. It was just like, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's already, the plague is upon us. Like,
That is
there's nowhere to go.
That is the one bad thing about Asian and other cultures where we eat family
food.
style. Yeah.
So we're all eating out of the same
dangerous.
fucking shit. And that's just how my family is anyway. Like my sister will have some. I'm like, give me some. And that's just how we eat. So then.
I don't have siblings and I'm like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's horrible. Like I am laid out in bed. I cannot. No, and this is like days after I've already taken care of my two daughters who are puking their guts out. I'm cleaning up like diarrhea, puke. Nobody can eat. I'm just like trying to like figure it out. And I think I've escaped it. I'm like, okay, I got it.
No way.
I leave tomorrow.
Not if you're the one cleaning.
Right. I was like, that was stupid. So then I do this durian video. And I'm like, oh, okay, I do this durian video. And like durian is very, very strong. It's very pungent. The aroma is very intense.
That's what I hear.
I'm very sensitive to smell. So I'm like, oh, I feel a little nauseous. Maybe it's just, I'm like in complete fucking denial, obviously. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just the durians just making me feel a little bit sick. And I was like, no. So then I get sick and I'm supposed to leave the next day. And I'm like, so this bug lasts between 24 and 36 hours. And I'm like, will I make it through? Will I be okay? No, I'm so fucking sick. So then, you know, I have to like move our flight, which cost me another fucking $500 on a flight that was already super expensive because it's during the holidays. And I'm just like, whatever, it's worth it because I can't fly.
No,
I can't fly.
You'd be so miserable. And
I would get an entire plane, 130 people sick. Like, no,
shitty.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's already enough sickness in the world. Like, I'm not going to contribute.
Yeah.
So I wait till it passes and we get to the airport, you know, a couple days later. And there's this guy. Like, this is a long story, you guys. This is all connected. Okay. Well, it's kind of not connected, but this is just what happens.
They're a holiday.
So then there's this guy at the airport, you know, normal looking guy, like, you know, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. Goes up to the ticket counter and looks to the person there and goes, am I in the right place? She goes, yes, you're on this next flight heading to Los Angeles. We'll be boarding in about 20 minutes. He's like, okay, cool. He goes to sit down. He sits not for more than 5 minutes. Gets up, walks to the ticket counter again. Am I in the right place? And I was like, this feels, there's something.
There's a glitch in the matrix.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm keeping my eye on this guy. She's like, yeah, I told you, we're not boarding yet. She's giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, he doesn't speak English. Maybe, you know, there's something going on we can't see that we don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, no, sir, we're going to board in a little while. You have about 10 minutes now. So then he gets up again about 5 minutes later. Am I in the right place? Pointing to his fucking boarding pass. She's like, sir, this is the third time I'm telling you, you're in the right place. We'll be boarding shortly. He goes to sit down. There's another lady who I'm guessing is kind of like maybe like an upper like managerial type. And I see them talking and the manager walks up to him and goes, sir, can I see you over there, please? So she takes him and starts chatting with him. And I'm like, I think she's checking to see like if he's drunk or if there's something weird going on with him. Yeah. And then the other lady who he had been originally talking to, she looks over at us and goes, was he being weird or like whatever? I was like, no, you know, the lady that was sitting next to him, she's like, did he smell like alcohol? She's like, I didn't smell anything other than cheap cologne. I was like, that's a diss. That was unnecessarily rude. That's mean. That guy's there's already something going on with him. So then he comes back and I guess everything's fine. Oh, and then we're standing in line. He comes to me of all people. I'm like, no fucking come talk to me. He goes, am I in the right place? I'm like, yeah, you're in the right place. This is the fourth person you asked. You're in the right place. We're literally standing in the line. The thing says Los Angeles. Just get on the fucking plane or don't. So he gets on the plane and we're all sitting, we're all buckling in. And I hear, oh no. And I like look up and you never want to hear that on a plane.
No.
Like you can tell, like we're about to go.
Especially right before you take off. Yeah.
Literally, the cabin doors are closed. Everybody put your seatbelts on. We're about to take off. Oh no. Then I see the same guy get up and run to the back of the plane. That's also never good. You're like, I don't want to see running on an airplane ever. You never know. He runs to the bathroom, tries to throw up, and does not make it into the toilet, throws up all over the bathroom. Now, mind you, this is me coming off of norovirus after so much vomit. So much vomit
trauma.
And now I'm sitting on an airplane about to go home, praying to God. All I want to do is go home. They have to deboard, not the whole plane, fortunately. They get him off the plane and a whole cleaning crew has to come in. Takes them an hour. So we sit there for a fucking hour.
Was he allowed to fly?
I don't know. I know he wasn't on the plane.
He wasn't on the plane.
He didn't go home with us. So then they clean up. We finally leave. And the captain is great. And he's like, I'm going to try to make up as much time as possible. I'm tracking the flight because I know my husband's going to meet us at the airport and I need to kind of keep him on track too.
Yeah.
So we finally land in LA at exactly the time we were supposed to land, 9:45. I'm like, this is a miracle.
That's so weird how they do that.
What happened on the earth and in the air that it just met up perfectly? I was like, what, is this like a racket? Do you guys just fly slow on purpose? You're like, I'm just gonna slow it down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or like you can just make up an hour. Like you just pulled an hour out of nowhere. I don't know how that happens, but it happened.
Yeah, they definitely probably give themselves leeway.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
But a buffer, I would imagine. But
Yeah,
an
for
hour,
sure.
you made up an hour. You literally just pulled an hour out of the literal sky. Cool. Fine.
Thin air. Really thin air. Because you're up high.
The thinnest air. So we get to LA and I'm so fucking stoked. I'm so excited. I haven't seen my husband in like a week. I just came off of sickness. You know, you just want to be home. And like, you know, Captain comes on and goes, ding, we're waiting for a place to, you know, deboard the plane. Looks like there's a little bit of a backup. Give us a few minutes.
Well, you guys landed though, right?
We landed fine.
Okay.
He gets on the thing again. Oh, we're still waiting. We're still waiting. It looks like the backup is worse than we thought. I'm like, oh, God. So it turns out there are over 10 planes all converged in the same area with nowhere to go. So we have to wait in line an hour and 15 minutes. We sit there in the plane. My daughter, we are starving because we haven't eaten because we fly at like around dinner time. You know, we delayed. My youngest is crying. She's like, I want to be home. I'm like, I know. Listen, nothing in me maternally or just humanly wants nothing more than to get us off this plane. You got to fucking believe me. Like, you got to fucking believe me.
Trust me, I've been throwing up too. I just want my bed as well.
I know. It's all I want. So then we finally get to get off the plane. And we are so thankful. My husband has been sitting in the baggage claim for an hour and 10 minutes waiting for us, 15 minutes.
And traffic at LAX has been
horrible.
It was so bad.
So we get there and I notice there sure are a lot of people at this one baggage carousel and no other people at the others. And I'm like, no, don't tell me this. Turns out, somehow, for some reason, all the baggage went to the one carousel where they were not distributed. Hundreds of people just standing around this one baggage carousel.
How many flights?
I don't even know. I think 3 maybe, which is too many.
That's
it's
way
too
too
many.
many.
So the baggage carousel starts going around and nobody's picking up the baggage because I don't think any of the people from the flight that baggage came from were there.
So then they unloaded the wrong one first.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. So then the baggage starts backing up. And it's like Tetris. It starts like the baggage is coming and it's going and it's piling up. And I'm like, this is too many. This is just too many. This is hello? Airport people? Like, who is in charge? And I see, eventually it just plugs up. The ramp is plugged up and they have to like emergency stop it. I can see my bag at the fucking top of the thing. I'm like, you guys,
do I climb?
Literally. But my daughter, whose backpack is, you know, her huge like duffel bag is not out yet. So even if I could get my bag, we couldn't go anyway. We did see The Game though. You know, the rapper, The Game, he was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, you're famous. Anyway.
It's so funny. He hasn't been rapping in so long that you have to put the rapper behind it for me to be like,
well, if I just said The Game was there, you'd be like, there was a game. It would be confusing. So anyway, we finally get home. Thank God. Life is restored. We're back to normal. So I think. Finally, I get home and we do all that. The next day, 2 days later. So the next 2 days are pretty normal and, you know, whatever. Then I get a call from my daughter's friend. Sorry, my daughter's friend's mom. And she says, hey, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but my daughter has lice.
I'm sorry. That's not a laughing matter.
What? And she's like, well, not just my daughter. Both my daughters, my son, my husband, and I all have lice. This family of 5, every single person has lice. We had a sleepover
right before.
2 days or 3 days before we left.
At your house or their house?
Our house.
Oh, no.
And they all shared beds because that's what you do at slumber parties.
Yeah.
And I guess the gestational time for eggs to be deposited and incubate and hatch is about 2 weeks, which is exactly the time frame. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Wow, no wonder lice spreads like that.
You don't know. You don't know what's happening for that long. And so I then have to get my kids. My husband has to call off of work. We all have to go to this fucking delousing place. We all have to get checked. Thankfully, just my youngest had just the beginning stages of lice. Like we caught it like literally at the exact right time. my head is itching just talking.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little itchy too.
It's so psychosomatic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But my husband, myself, my other daughter, none of us have it. So then I come home. I have to just like delouse the house. I'm washing everything. You have to put your fucking brushes and everything you've touched in the world in the freezer. And like, I have to wash everything on hot, with stuffed animals, everything. Everything.
You ever watch all this?
I was
watch
like,
the
maybe
Squishmallows?
we should just burn the house down and just start over because nothing is clean enough right now.
We're van people now.
Exactly. We live in the car now, guys. Then, so that finally is all said and done. Then I'm finally like, life is back to normal. Thank God. I'm driving home from the gym.
Oh God.
And I hear pop up. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Somebody shot me. Immediately, my car's like, your tire pressure's a little low. You might want to pull over. I was like,
No.
I'm driving down the street and there was a pothole made out of razor blades.
I hate those ones.
And they just eviscerated my 2 right side tires.
Dang.
And I am sitting in the car and I'm like, I should really be in a much more fragile mental state than I am right now. At any other point in my life, I feel like this would be like full blown mental breakdown. I'm like, am I evolving? Am I managing my life better? Like, I was just like, I should feel worse than I do. Like, I don't, but like, I feel like okay, like weirdly okay. I was like, it just kind of is what it is. And I'm just going to move on. And I am just going to right now, without testing fate, not interested. Fate, hello?
Yeah.
If you're listening, this is not what I'm doing. I'm just making an observation and hoping that maybe I'm just going to get all this stuff out of the way in the beginning and just move on to other, good things. The best part of this whole experience up to this point is calling my older sister.
To give her
like, hey, listen.
Remember how bad it started?
Remember how we brought Norovirus into your house? We also probably brought lice too. Okay, bye.
Oh, right.
She's like, what? I was like, yeah. My youngest probably had lice at the time, but we just didn't know. So that huge palace of a house you have? You got to clean the whole thing. I'm so sorry. I'm not there to help. I'll see you later. She's like, fuck you. And I called my other sister. I was like, I bought you a lice comb at the place. I have it in my house when you need it. And she's like, fuck you. Don't blame me. These are things that like happen to kids. It just so happened that they happened around the whole fucking family.
I've never had lice before. And I hope to never have lice.
Thankfully, I haven't either. So,
thankfully,
thank God.
We've gotten to a place where like back in the day when we were kids, like you had to shave your head, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so we went to this place. My Healthy Hair, I'll get the name of it. They were incredible, wonderful. But they have to go through your hair, literally fine tooth comb, like, literally. And they do this like pre-treatment, and then they do this like cleansing thing, and then they have to pour oil in your hair. This like oil. And I guess it like kills and suffocates, and then any bugs that are in there in eggs, the egg dies or whatever.
Oh.
So my youngest had to have this like, greasy, sloppy head for 24 hours.
Slick it back.
Like, you look great.
You look like J-Lo in that one video.
The wet look. Kim Kardashian did the wet look a couple years ago. That was in the course of like 2 weeks. It was a really
intense.
It was really intense.
Maybe that's just how Year of the Dragons start out,
right?
With like a boom fire.
Well, it would be more of like a phoenix, right? Like you in the ashes and you're fucking burnt to a fucking crisp, never to be seen from again, and then you just rise out of it. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just try to rise above it all.
The Asian flower moon goddess must have been in retrograde or something because like Japan,
she's like, fuck you, bitch.
Japan had a really horrible bad start to the year too.
I know, that was horrible.
They had the earthquake, the
tsunami,
the flooding, and then they had the plane crash, and then like an apartment building like burned down and injured something must have been happening.
Well, and so that is a testament to, it could all have been much worse for me. It was a succession of lots of small inconveniences to moderate inconveniences. But all survivable. You know,
now you have a really funny story.
That took 20 minutes. I'm so sorry. Like that was a long one. I was like, this is my soliloquy on the last weeks of 2023. Like I really just fuck it, went for it. But a lot happened.
So much happened. In fact, as you were telling the story, I was like, I heard it 10 minutes ago and there's more? I was like, oh, right. I forgot about that.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I forgot something too along the way. I'm sure something else has happened.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It was
your husband like, oh, I missed
God's
all.
A fucking bullet. You know, you guys know him. He's so great. He like felt bad that he wasn't there to help me. You know what I mean?
Survivor's remorse.
Yeah, that's I think what he felt. He was like, I just feel bad that you had to go through all that like by yourself. Like even just if it was just the flight alone, being with your 2 kids and being just like trapped and like helpless and knowing that they're like hungry and like you just like, you know what I mean? Like he's just like, I know if I were there, I could have helped, you know, somehow. So yes, I'm sure secretly he's like, glad it wasn't fucking me, but he outwardly to me at the very least, maybe just because the last thing I knew was a fight with my husband.
Empathy, right. Even if it's for selfish reasons, like you don't want to get in a fight.
Oh, I forgot you were even here. I was like, what is that? There you go. Night. Go to sleep now. Okay, good night.
It gets really funny when he wakes up and then he can't walk. You know, because his arm's not big enough for those sleeves.
Well, one is out completely.
Yeah, that's
he's like a baby.
He's a baby.
With a baby, you wake up and you're like, how did you get completely out of your onesie? I'd wake up, like my kids' babies wake up and just like from the waist down, like, there was definitely a top. You were definitely wearing a top. And they're just like hanging, like the arms just hanging off their hips. I'm like, well, you're like a little baby Houdini. Anyway, how was your end of the year? Official end of the year?
Oh, it was okay. I went to, so like right before the holidays, I went to Disneyland, the place that I don't love.
Hate Disneyland.
Yeah, I don't mean to offend all the Disney adults out there, but I don't understand you.
Some of them have to, you know, reclaim their youth.
No, it is. That part I fully understand, but the children, the anxiety, it's just a lot.
It's really anxiety inducing there.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But my like friend begged me to go. So I was like, you know what? I could probably do some like Disney content, whatever. So like, let's go. You know?
I do want to preface this by saying I did not know that Disney was pro-Israel before he went.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So just we know now. Now I'm boycotting.
I
Disney.
know that
I'm
now,
off
but
Disney.
I didn't know. And when I had bought the $250 ticket weeks in advance, I didn't know then either.
Yeah,
but then even the week before I went, my cousin out of the blue was like, "Oh, I'm going to surprise my our children by taking them out of school and playing ditch to go to Universal. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to be there for my niece and nephew.
Yeah,
you know, it's going to be a core memory. I want to be a part of that. You know." And so then they didn't even want to be there that much. They did. But I think they're still at the age where it's like, what are rides? You know what I mean?
I always found Universal to be very boring anyway, to be honest.
I don't love those rides. And I think that's the reason I'm more of an adrenaline seeker. I need the falls,
not the
climbs.
screen.
Yeah. They're fun. They're interactive. But for me, it's like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I want to be near death.
And then my niece and nephew, they both get severe motion sickness.
Oh, that's fun.
So like they couldn't ride 80% of the rides.
Oh God. The rides that have like the screens and then the moving at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to fucking puke.
Yeah. And like, they don't need to be so jerky. Like you don't have to have it spin around. So like, we don't need to whip.
Yeah. I don't need whiplash.
We don't need that.
That's totally superfluous.
Kids, adults, nobody wants that. So like that, but you know, that happened. That was fun. You know, memories, whatever. And then, Christmas was good. Just, you know, spend it with my aunt and uncle, and then went over to my cousins on the next day. So it was just, you know, normal family stuff. And then
your New Year's is what I'm really trying to get at, because that was incredible.
And then Ron left for Hawaii to go celebrate his girlfriend's families from there. So, you know,
how was Hawaii? Lovely. Oh, good.
Yeah, I've never been. No, just kidding. But yeah, so then New Year's I spent alone, and the 2 days
not alone.
Yeah, not alone. Just human wise, I was, you know, knee deep in snuggling with
toe beans and snuggles.
Days just disappear when you have a puppy, and then the other dog, whose name is Colt. I didn't forget it. It just sounds very insensitive the way I said it. But yeah, 2 days before New Year's, I'm like, it's like around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm on TikTok, and I come across the Keith Lee video
Yeah.
about Dynamite. And if you guys haven't watched that, you can go check it out on my page or Keith Lee's page. But basically, there was, I'm going to try this without getting emotional because it's almost impossible. But there was his father, a Korean man in Las Vegas, and he had this dream. He's an immigrant, you know, he immigrated with his family, I think like 8 years ago or a little bit earlier. Either way, he had this dream of opening this restaurant because he loves to feed and cook for people. So, you know, they got this loan, they found this location, they started renovating the place, and a month into renovation, he finds out that he has stage 4 tongue cancer.
For somebody who loves to cook food, to get tongue cancer is probably like the most like, I don't know. Like the worst, cruelest joke that
very cruel. That's the word
the universe could play.
Yeah. And, you know, he and his family, it's just him, his wife, and their only child, his son. And they basically have to make the hard decision of like, hey, do we just cut our losses and just, you know, focus on you?
Yeah.
And the dad was like, no, this is my dream. Like, we just started realizing, and like, nothing's going to stop me. So they opened the restaurant. He then works like 70, 80 hours a week. All the while going to like 15 doctor's appointments a week, doing chemo, radiation therapy. And he like pushes forward, you know, and right after they open, I think like a month in, you know, the restaurant was dead. So his son makes a video. Keith Lee sees it, promotes it the first time. It does really well. And the dad gets to see success, you know, gets to see his, you know, dream come true. And then, like 2 days after Christmas, he had these like really big tumors that grew on his neck. And if you've ever known anyone who had cancer, you know, a lot of times tumors come with it. And he had one on the external of his neck and on the interior, and they both bursted. Ugh. So they went to the hospital, and the doctor basically was like, you have two options. You can basically go through a very intense surgery that's going to have a long healing time. It's going to be very painful. And especially at his state, you don't know if he's even going to make it out of it. Or at this point, we just, you know, make him as comfortable as he can till his end, you know? So, and I think that happened like right before Christmas. And then 2 days after Christmas, he ended up passing away. And, you know, when I saw that video and Keith Lee was like, hey, we have to come support this family, I like couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because, like, you know, the stuff that I'm going through.
Of course it is, Ed. I mean, what's the mystery? You see a father and son going through a painful thing, you're gonna feel something about it.
Yeah, and seeing a family come together, you know, especially a dad that died from like a digestive system cancer, which my dad had esophageal cancer. Not that our dynamic was anywhere near the same, but seeing a family come together, it just like really warmed my heart. So, you know, I started being like, oh, I should go. And then I immediately looked down. I was like, oh, I have a 10-week-old puppy. I was like, what am I going to do? And then so I started texting Ron, who was still in Hawaii. And I was like trying to justify whether I should go or not. And Ron's like, I don't know. You have Archie. Is he going to be able to? And I was like, yeah, just hold him. It's just like 10 hours, whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I think my aunt's house would be on the way. So then I texted my aunt and I was like, hey, I was like, I haven't made up my mind yet, but I was like, I might have to go to Las Vegas just for tomorrow during the day. I was like, if I drop him off, will you guys be home to watch him? And she was like, yeah, sure. So then I, you know, keep trying to justify the trip to Ron, being like, you know, if I make a video, it might get views.
Who knew?
You know?
Who knew you were the guy who was like, I'm the decider?
Yeah. And I was like, I was just like trying to have someone talk sense into me because like once I want something, I'm going to justify it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like needed
rationalize in or out of it.
Exactly. So I needed like a voice of reason to be like, hey, this is a good idea or not. And then after like about 20 minutes of back and forth, I just went, you know what? I think I'm just justifying to get an answer, to get like a yes from you. But I was like, I think I actually need to do this for me, you know? I think I need to, I think it'll make me feel better to be there for a family and be a part of like show support and like feel a community, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the next morning I woke up at 6. I tried to leave by 6:30, but you know, puppy and dog. and left by 7. I dropped off Archie to my aunt's.
Was traffic crazy to Vegas?
No, it was
Crazy.
pretty empty.
Interesting.
And I drove down with Colt and stood in line. And then when I went there, it was like a line that wrapped around the block. So it was like the entrance, and there was like a line there. Then it went line all the way down the side, and then all the way down the other end.
I saw the videos. I was like, Jesus, that's a lot of people. Hundreds.
And I got there like 45 minutes after they opened.
Wow.
I was trying to get their ad open because I was like I really wanted to like get there, be in and out within like an hour and a half so I could get back at a normal time.
Yeah.
And even looking at that line, I was like, okay, this is a little bit worse than I thought, but like probably 2 hours. So, I like started walking up towards the front, and I asked a couple people, I was like, hey, what do we do? What's happening with like takeout? And they're like, oh, I think they're having to stand in line anyway. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen. And I went to the back of the line, and then I got back there, and then I was like, you know what? Just in case I don't wait 2 hours, and they're like, oh, you could have just come in for takeout.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
So I called them, and they were like, no, sorry, unfortunately, you have to wait in line for takeout. And people in line were like, they're like, oh, you thought you were being smart. And I was like, no, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to wait in 2 hours for nothing. It wasn't 2 hours. It was like 7.5 hours.
You stood there for 7.5 hours.
I stood there for 7.5 hours. And like me standing there for 7.5 hours is one thing. Colt stood with me for 7 hours. He was such a good boy. Towards like hour 6, there was a couple times when he started like biting at his leash, being like, Dad, I'm getting really antsy. Yeah. So luckily by that point we made friends. So like people were like, yeah, dude, just go take him for a walk. We're not going to take your spot. Yeah. So I was like, it's cool. So I did that.
Yeah, that would be the kind of event where people would be cool to each other. I would fucking hope.
Well, there was this one lady.
Oh no.
She tried to cut. And she comes right up to me, and not even speaking to me, but about me. She just goes, oh yeah, I was definitely ahead of you. And then she stands right next to me. So at that point I'd already gone live in the line. Mm-hmm. And then I saved the live video just in case I needed any of that footage. And then I stood there, and for 15 minutes I kept being like, don't, just let it go. Just let it go. So just let it go. And then of course, the more I said that, the more it started nagging at me. And I was like, I'm just going to check these videos. Cause I took videos of the line.
Might as well. I got 7 hours.
Yeah. So I just stood there, and she was wearing this like pink hat, this like pink,
she was really obvious
beanie,
and easy to be
and
seen.
like no one else was wearing a pink beanie, and I couldn't find her in line anywhere. So even then for 10 minutes, I kept being like, just let it go. Just let it go. You know, you were right. Just let it go. And then I was like, next thing I knew, my mouth is going, I'm sorry.
I can't not.
And this is the literal words I said to her. I picked up my phone. I said, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be an ass. I was like, but I'm just having a hard time placing you in any of the line, this is the craziest part, because, normally you get into a long line, and then like 5 minutes goes by, you move up a little bit, you turn around, you're like, oh, the line is exactly where I was. And now there's like 30 people behind me. Right. Even though I got there 45 minutes after close, I was like the 7th to 10th last in line the whole time.
Yeah.
So like the more I looked back, there wasn't a line that kept refreshing. That was it, you know? So in my mind, I kept being like, why would you even butt in front of 10 people?
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason. Yeah. So I think that's the reason why I was like, look, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to understand what's happening here. And then I just said that one thing, and then she started getting so aggressive. She's like, really? We're doing this in 2024? And of course, I started feeling a little...
cutting in line?
Yeah.
I guess not.
She's like, we're doing this in 2024. And in my head, I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, it's still in 2023. I was like, 2024 isn't for like 48 hours, lady. But I didn't say that because I wasn't trying to antagonize her. But either way, she kept getting like crazy more aggressive. And she started saying things like, she's like, so you drove all the way here from LA to argue with me? I was like, when did I say that? She's like, because I don't know if you know this. She's like, we're here to support a family because his dad died of tongue cancer. And I was like, yeah, that's literally why I said I drove here from LA, woke up at 6 a.m., grabbed my dog, and came here.
Why the fuck else do you think I'm here?
And she's like, so this is what we're doing? She's like, this is what, and I was like, she's like, maybe next time you should mind your business. And I was like, and then I was like, whatever. And then she turned around and kept being like, talking about me. So then I was like, I'm sorry, that's the craziest thing. I was like, did you just tell me to mind my business?
Right.
And then yapped about it to everyone else so they would be on your side? And then I started noticing a couple minutes later, I started talking with the woman in front of me, and she was actually the catalyst as to reason why I started talking to the people around me. And the one lady, she was like, "That's so crazy." And I was like, "I know." And then I was like, "Actually, did you notice that she like moved up a couple people? Like the people that she was bad mouthing me to, she went up to talk to them, and the next thing you know,
So she's
she was in front of them in line." And then she was like, and then I was like, "Oh my God, I think that's what she's doing." She's like, "Yeah, I think that what it is." And then like 30 minutes goes by. And then some marketing people who were with the restaurant come by who, I don't want to talk negatively, but they were a little self-righteous in their talk. It wasn't like about the family. It was more about like, "Oh, I did this for them and I did
Oh,
this for them." And I was
God.
like, "That's weird." But either way, she goes up to them. I'm trying not to pay attention to her, but the woman in front of me is keenly listening in, and she goes, "Oh my God, she's saying lies about you right now." And then I was like, "Whatever, just let it go." Next thing I know, that marketing person takes her to the front of the line.
Her?
Yep. And and she was with her son, who her son was doing the thing. He was like, and people having to be like, just hold off, just chill. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? I was like, and the whole time I was standing there, I was like, you guys know I'm recording you guys, right? And two, I have my dog with me. If you try to hurt me
Yeah.
and he bites your hand off,
Right.
that's self-defense.
Yeah.
So whatever. But either way, she comes out with boxes of food.
What a
And
fucking
she's like
bitch.
laughing. And even the people she was bad mouthing to, who, I think they were just kind of like, I don't know who to believe,
Right.
whatever. They all of a sudden all turned around to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you were right." And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, if you paid attention, I didn't do anything. I was like, I didn't do anything.
She sucks.
But other than that one lady,
Yeah.
everyone was amazing. No one was complaining. Like even after the 7.5 hours, we were like, we're here to support this family, So, and then even better was the fact that the food was so good.
Was it?
It was so good. By the time I got
Being
it,
able to maintain quality when the line is like that, that's tough too.
that's really tough.
Yeah.
And, it like all was worth it when I got there and I got to like introduce myself to the son, who actually I didn't even introduce myself. He was like, "Why do you look familiar?" And I was like,
No.
"Oh,
Cute.
I was like, you might have seen me somewhere, And then, I offered, I was like, "Hey, did you guys even eat today?" And he was like, "No, no." And I was like, "Oh man." I was like, "What do you guys want?" I was like, "Let me go grab you guys like a pizza or two so you
Yeah.
guys can eat something." He's like, "No, no, no, it's okay. It's okay. We have food. We'll be able to eat."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh man, are you sure?" And
Oh,
then
that's nice.
I should have still gotten them something, but I didn't think about it because I was starting to also panic about like, oh my God, it's 7:30. I told my
Right.
aunt I was gonna be back by like 5.
Yeah.
If I leave now, I'm not gonna be back till like midnight. So like I went to the parking lot, found like the brightest spot, like try to film the video there. And then like literally took a bite of one of everything, gave a quick review and then left. And then actually got to eat when I had to go to a charging station. I was like,
good.
"Oh, I can eat here." I
Yeah.
was like, I have to wait 30 minutes anyway. But yeah, it was really amazing. I like got to meet new friends in line. Like 2 of them had just moved from Mississippi, no, Alabama, one of the Midwestern states. And
Alabama's in the South.
she was, yeah, true. They're both, she and her partner were both wrestlers. It was super badass. They're like just starting out in amateur wrestling, like
fun.
WWE style.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the one girl that was standing like a woman that was standing like a couple in front of me, like she was a truck driver. I was like, that's badass. And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, I saw the video this morning. And she was like, "Oh, I'm in Las Vegas. Let me go support,
I'm gonna be in Vegas in March. I'm definitely gonna go.
Yeah. So it was really nice.
Good.
And they were
I'm
like
glad you
in
did that.
such high spirits. And I
I
don't
just
know.
hope they can maintain that. I feel like when you go and you do like this like huge just like burst of something, you don't know what the longevity of something like that is. And it can set up a business to stay open forever, or it could be like that was just like a flash in the pan and that was it.
And I don't think it will be because I think the quality of the food was there.
Good.
And
I'm
like
glad. Keith Lee is amazing.
yeah, and you know what the craziest part was? I said it in the video, but like when I pulled up to the line, I almost didn't see like any Asian people.
Yeah, that's really disappointing.
That's the thing that I said on the live. I was like, that was a little disappointing. And someone on the live commented, there was like, "Oh, there was more Asian people at the beginning in the morning." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But when I talked to Steve, the owner's son, I was like, "I didn't really see too many Korean people." He's like, "Actually," I think you. And then right at the end, another Korean influencer came, like a food influencer. He was like, he and you, I think, were the only Korean people in line today. And I was like, "Oh, that's a little disappointing." But I was like, also not disappointing. Like it was disappointing that more Asian people didn't show up, but there was also something very therapeutically healing for
To
me.
see that it was people outside of just being Korean people.
Yeah, I was like, for someone who grew up being bullied for eating Korean food, that I was like mind blown. Why am I being, you guys don't like barbecue? You don't like meats? I don't understand what's happening. To then seeing all these people who had never tried Korean food there just to support and try Korean food. I was like, wow, that's so healing. But at the same time, yes, I was
where
like,
the fucking Korean people at?
I was like, where are all the Asian,
you guys doing?
yeah.
Where are you guys?
I was like, I know we're here.
Yeah.
I was like, I see
Don't
you
tell me there
guys
aren't Korean
in the
people in
casinos.
Vegas,
Yeah, I see you guys in the casinos. I know we're here. But yeah, I think people are gonna go, you know, support them.
I hope so. I really hope so.
But you should definitely go. The food was really good. I think there was like 200 plus people in that line that day. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's been about the same, you know. Watching this little guy
news is good news sometimes.
Grow incrementally.
Listen, you didn't have any stories like mine. Good for you.
Yeah.
You made out.
No. In fact, mine was the opposite.
Yeah.
He's been getting better at getting potty trained, you know. Little less accidents here and there.
Still so tiny.
He hasn't peed in my bed or on the couch in over a week. That's a win.
That's fantastic.
I have a mattress cover, don't worry.
What else are we going to talk about right now? Oh, do you want to talk about the Golden Globes real quick?
Oh yeah. But also, did you watch the Golden Globes the other night?
I tolerated parts of it, but it was so painful to watch.
Yeah.
I watched it because Beef was nominated. I watched it because I loved the Barbie movie. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
I did.
Did you not like it?
I did like it. I just was confused on, is it a kid's movie?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because that's the only thing I felt weird about. I was like, this seems a little heavy for kids.
No. It's the kind of movie that if kids watched it, depending on their age, they will glean from it whatever they want. But the movie is for adults.
Okay, that's what I think. Okay,
it's for adults, male and female, you know, men and women. I think, you know.
I loved the message for sure. I just kept being like, if my 7-year-old niece watches this, I was like, is she gonna understand?
She's gonna understand. Oh, Barbie is so many things. Barbie is a role model. Look at all these different kinds of Barbies doing all these cool things. Oh no, these Kens don't want the Barbies to run Barbie Land in. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a very simplistic, you know, story with a very complex overarching theme, right?
Yeah, I knew what the theme was. I didn't know that. A spoiler for those of you who haven't seen it, which I doubt you haven't.
Go watch it. What are you doing?
I didn't realize that Ryan Gosling was going to become like the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Like that was very entertaining.
I didn't know that either. And then I was watching, I was like, oh, well, this makes a lot of sense. I thought it was going to be Will Ferrell's character.
Yeah. Or like some outside force just being like, I didn't realize he was going to be like, oh, patriarchy. This is fun.
Patriarchy and male fragility. I mean, that was, you know, the huge themes. And I'll tell you this, women, if you're watching this and you're dating a man, watch him watch the Barbie movie, and then you'll know what kind of man you're dealing with. If he's laughing at the right parts and crying at the right parts, then you've got a good guy. Because I watched my husband watch the movie, and the part where America Ferrera is giving that like monologue about being a woman and how difficult it is, I watched him, and then I looked at him and the way he looked at me. Like, he like got it. He's like, God, that's so fucking heavy. He's like, and when you put it like that, like the way that the empathy that I feel for you and subsequently for our daughters, it didn't congeal in my mind that way until this moment. You know what I mean? Like, he knows obviously being a woman is difficult, but he's just like, when you just put it out on the table like that and you see all those parts at once, what a heavy, you know, weight to bear.
Yeah.
And so to watch him and have him like under, I was like, oh, thank God I married such a good guy. Thank God. Anyway, but you know, so I'm watching it because I want these movies to succeed, right?
Be acknowledged.
And it was such a great night for all of them. You know, the first Indigenous actor won, I believe it was for acting. And then, you know, Beef won all these awards. Ali Wong, first, you know, best actress in a limited series, you know, Steven Yeun, you know.
Although I will say a little, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but I felt like their speeches could have been more.
Their speeches,
and I don't want to like put the burden of like, oh, the community on them, but like, I feel like it could have been a little bit. Like Kiwi Kwan and Michelle Yeoh's speeches were like inspiring.
Right. Well,
and Ali Wong's speech to me came off a little bit like she knows that she has this like image that she's this like man-eater because of the way she like treated her husband, and it seemed like she just was focused on correcting that. And I was like, lady, this is such a bigger moment.
There's so much more. And there's definitely something to argue about that. I mean, I do agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to put that pressure on them, but I feel like there could have been something for a little more, you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of the mind was like, fuck it, they won.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
But I think the elephant in the room, of course, is the Jo Koy Jo Koy thing, which in and of itself could have been this huge, like monumental first Asian American to right, as far as I know.
At the very least, first Filipino American.
Yeah, to host the Golden Globes. Like, wow, amazing. And the way he just took a dump on that stage was just so like.
It was kind of watching like a dumpster fire.
What am I watching? Like the desperation and the jokes and he was just so like combative about why people weren't laughing, and like, the joke about how are you going to make a joke about the Barbie movie being about big boobies?
Oh, yeah.
When it is quite literally the opposite of what that joke is. And he didn't do it in a way that was like ironic or funny or like, you know what I mean?
He said it in a way like he didn't understand the joke or the movie.
He clearly didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
He clearly didn't see the movie. And like,
but even then, how do you not know? I didn't, even before I saw the movie, I saw that America Ferrera scene like 100 times.
And there's no way that America Ferrera is going to be in a movie about Barbie and have it be just about big boobies.
Yeah, no
You know
way.
what I mean? The boobs
She's
weren't
like one of the
addressed.
most conscious fucking actresses.
Really, I love her.
I love her.
I fucking love her.
Did you watch Superstore?
I've watched a few episodes of it.
Oh my God.
Ugly Betty was where I
show.
fell in love with her.
Oh yeah.
Ugly Betty is so good.
She's so good.
I love her vibe. I love her messaging. I love her acting. She has this like, she's a great actor, but there's this like serenity about her that I really love. Like she's always, but she still makes such a big impact without being like really like so aggressive. She is. Yeah. I'm not sure what it is, but
she has
I
it.
love
Whatever
her.
that it is, she has it.
She's great. So then to watch this like big monumental night and like the Barbie movie, like Billie Eilish won for the best song. Like that song guts me every time I hear it, because it's like it's
super
such
talented.
A beautiful song.
Yeah. And
to see that win, and it was such a big night for so many things. And I think like Jo Koy being of a marginalized community to then default to misogyny and like white supremacy is just like, come on. We really could have taken this to the next level.
Yeah.
We really could have. And you could have really galvanized all the people who were in that room who finally are like seeing the light. But I will say a good thing about that is to know that in that room 20 years ago, that joke would have killed. But the fact that everybody in that room was like, what the fuck did you just fucking say? Like, and to not laugh and to have him now being like, thrown to the wolves for it tells me that maybe movies like the Barbie movie have made that impact. And because of that, we are where we are in history.
True. I will say in his defense though, he did get the role 10 days before.
Don't care.
But then the only other thing that I do feel though is the one thing that does nag in my head a little bit is if like Ricky Gervais was up there saying those exact same jokes, do you think that people would have mustered a laughter more?
Wouldn't have made that joke. That joke was so elementary. It was so juvenile.
It was beyond juvenile.
You know what I'm saying? Like
it was misogynistic.
I feel like Ricky Gervais could have made that joke and made it so that it was funny in an ironic, a lot of it was, you're right. A lot of it was his delivery. There was this like, once he realized the first couple jokes didn't land, there was this desperation in Jo Koy. I hated seeing it.
It was like a
I did a video about this. I've said he is funny at certain things.
Yes.
And he has built his career about making fun of his mom's accent. I mean, that is really the crux of his entire fucking thing. Yeah. That's his fucking lane. And so when you take that away and you don't have the accent to make fun of, one of his most famous things is how you can tell Asians apart from their accents. If you took the accent out of all of that, there is like literally no joke. There's no joke. It's just the accent. And I've said it a million times. And so when you have them write jokes without that crutch, this is what you get.
Yeah, that's true.
You get, oh, the Barbie movie is just about big boobies. Hello? You're 52 years old. Did you just say boobies on TV?
Yeah, that's true. Also, his audience is different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well,
with him, it's a little bit confusing too, because I guess a lot of his stuff is accents, but like maybe it's like
trauma bonding.
Yeah,
I get
but
that.
at least the majority of his audience is like Asian
Right.
people. Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. So if you're making jokes about trauma bonding, see, but the thing is when I watch his jokes, I'm not seeing trauma bonding. I'm not seeing like we all understand this, you know, communal need to like fit in and assimilate. It's not. It's just him making fun of his mom.
It is. It is.
With Margaret Cho, she would do that and be like, so do you know what it felt like for me to be at school or to be at the Safeway and have my mom screaming my name moron in the, you know, that feeling. Oh, I identify with that feeling.
That's the
there is that foundational joke there.
That dark humor.
Yes, I get that. I've been in that situation and now I can laugh at it and I can commune with these people who also have this experience. And I think that there is this lateral, you know,
Yeah.
I don't say don't say funny jokes about accents.
Half of Jo Koy's jokes is saying Joseph.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joseph.
So
that's the joke.
Okay. Like I get it, but they're just saying Joseph. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying don't use accents in jokes. Use them for a purpose.
For storytelling, for context, not as the joke.
Right. And so
Very
now
low-hanging
to
fruit.
see him make jokes that are so bad. I mean, God, 10 days or not, I don't care if he had 10 hours. If somebody's like, okay, now you're going to compare Oppenheimer and the Barbie movie, and you're going to make Oppenheimer sound like this masterpiece, and then you're going to reduce Barbie to just boobies, okay? Go. I'd be like, I'm not saying that. No fucking way. Whoever wrote that joke, no. Did you watch the Barbie movie? Because you clearly haven't, and you want me to, no way.
Well,
I'm not co-signing that.
Even the Oppenheimer joke where he was like, oh, I'm going to finish it hopefully by 2025. Like they panned to like, who was in it? Cillian Murphy and
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. I can't World War II movies.
I can't.
I'm World War II fatigued, to be honest.
You've mentioned
there's
that.
so much other history. But either way, no one laughed either.
No.
I think they even panned over to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I don't think he laughed.
No. That's the thing is like have you seen on TikTok, people are like rewriting the jokes for Jo Koy and being like, you could have said this.
Oh,
you could have said that. Like they said,
that one part where he was like, I wrote some of the jokes too. They're the ones you're laughing at. I was like, oh
God,
buddy.
this
I was
is
like,
getting so much worse. Now I'm just like,
stop.
embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing.
I want to go back to just throwing up in bed. Like I just I can't do this. I can't. I'll do anything to not have to keep witnessing this. You know, and it, like, I don't know. It just could have been so much better. It could have been so much better. And it could have been like across the board, just a fucking bang up night for every, you know, all the communities, all of us, all the marginalized people. You know what I mean? It could have really been that.
I just hope he didn't ruin it for all the other Asian potential
I don't think
hosts.
so. I don't think so. Like Simu Liu and what's her name? Issa Rae.
Oh.
They did this like little like monologue.
Oh, the little
so
quip.
funny.
Yeah. I love Issa Rae.
Oh my God, I love her so much. I love her. She was the president in the Barbie movie. Of course she was. She's amazing.
Of course she was. She's so good.
You know, so it was disappointing to say the least. But I will say that the discourse about why it's so problematic, I think is
nice.
Is nice. It is definitely representative of how people are feeling about women in media. And like, I think the women being like, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let you just reduce all of our hard. That's the most ironic part. Most ironic part is that the Barbie movie is about women having to do so much more to get the same, if not less than men.
Yeah.
And then Jo Koy making that like, hello, the joke. Like there's a joke in that joke. Like that's the fucking joke.
Yeah.
You know, so
Joe was the joke.
Yeah, he blew it. And
Which like it sucks to watch him like crash and burn so much
I
recently,
know.
especially like starting with the whole political thing from like a couple months ago. Remember that? Because like I met Jo Koy and he's like such a nice guy in person, and he's like so supportive of like Asian businesses and stuff. So like that part's great, but like, ugh,
It's
yikes.
great, but the thing is like when you start peeling the layers back, and like his whole career is built off of making fun of his mom.
Career that he spent decades building.
Yeah.
Off the back of his mom.
Off the back of his mom. And then for him to immediately jump to misogyny jokes, it's like, oh, so maybe you just like men, and you're kind of a fucking misogynist. And like the idea that you make fun of and I know that he loves his mom. I'm not saying he doesn't, and I'm not judging his character. What I'm saying is like, if you've made this platform what it is, and you have been asked to host the Golden Globes, you got to make it about something more than just these silly jokes. You have to. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. You and I feel it. There's a responsibility.
There is a responsibility. That's
There's a
the next thing I was going to
responsibility
say.
when you are part of a community that is underrepresented. It is your responsibility. You got to look behind you and see all the kids coming up behind you and be like, I have to create a platform for them to step up on.
If you tell,
it's
and this is from someone who just tried dipping their toes in comedy. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
like,
right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you make jokes and you look in the future and you go, some kid that looks like me is going to have this joke used against them, then it's not funny.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the kind of responsibility that you're talking about that I 100% agree with, is that like you can use whatever, you can make fun of your life in however way, but there should be a greater responsibility, especially if you're from a marginalized community, knowing what you went through as a child, the stuff that you heard, then to be able to use your joke that goes so viral because it was so funny, whatever, but knowing that like kids are going to hear it, and then knowing that like that can be used against a kid.
Right.
How do you live with yourself? How do you go to sleep at night?
Yeah. Who are you giving permission to?
Right.
And what are you giving them permission for? That is the question. Like,
so like you being able to afford this nice house is worth that kid feeling like shit, like he's nothing.
Right.
Hopefully not anything worse than that.
Or you don't even have to project into the future. You're going to sit there having been raised by your mother, who you speak about all the time, a woman that you claim to love and respect, and then you're going to shit on a room full of women? Who?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, you're right. As a person who was raised by a single mother,
yes,
I don't understand how, because like the Barbie movie, it was like validating, because even though I'm not a woman, obviously, and I don't know what it's like to be a woman, I was raised by a single mother, and I watched her struggle. I watched her get hit on by creepy men while we were fucking grocery shopping, and how disgusted I felt for her.
Yep.
How are we raised the same but so different?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. And you are going to have now taken the work that your mother, not you, him. The work of your mother and all of her toil and all of the hardships that she's gone through, and you're going to distill it down to big boobies. And that's exactly what you did to Greta Gerwig and to all the women in that room who, and not even just who worked on the Barbie movie, the women who just work.
Yeah.
Not just even
just
in that
exist.
room, just women.
Yep.
You know, who clearly, you know, he loves his mom. So show that love to all the, you know what I mean? And he didn't. And I know that he's done a lot for the community, and I know that but the way that now he's just like, well, you know, it's a really tough room, and like, sure, the criticism is tough, but you know, what are you going to do? It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to rewrite your monologue. You're going to rewrite your monologue, and you're going to deliver it again. That's what I'd love to see. Rewrite that shit. Take all the time you need. Give yourself 3 months.
At the very least, when the next day people start criticizing you about it, don't get defensive.
No. I mean, you know, whatever.
Well, speaking of
defensive
and train wrecks.
Oh, no.
And ignore this tear down my eye from speaking about my mom. We have an update from that one, Am I the Asshole?
We do?
Yeah. Remember the Kung Pao Chicken one?
I don't know if I just ruined the sound on my microphone.
Remember the Kung Pao Chicken one?
Yes. That thing has like plagued my life.
Remember after the last update, I was like, oh man, I wish there was a divorce.
Yes.
We have an update.
Bitch. Wait, who's getting divorced?
Wait, just wait.
Did you hear that, Archie? Somebody's getting divorced and I don't know who it is. He's looking at
I wish there was a overhead camera because he's just laying there with his one eye pointed at Susie like, what's happening?
It's big news. Don't fall asleep. Don't you want to hear? There you go. Okay, listen, okay? This is important.
All right. So this is the last update. I'd like to clarify that I got my wife and mother-in-law's permission to post this update out of respect for them and their privacy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's a very respectful king right there.
Wait, I feel like you have to like give backstory. There's gonna be some people who don't know what we're talking about.
If you haven't watched our podcast or the TikTok videos or whatever, there is...
Why don't you? Hello?
Yeah. Hello. How did you even find us?
How are you here now?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Either way, there was Am I the Asshole story where this guy who's Asian married to a white wife and he's interacting with her family. Her sister is also a chef and he's a chef, but at an Asian restaurant, one that he won't name, but is a large, big, very respected brand in China.
Okay.
And I guess there's even a couple of locations here, and he and his team have won awards.
Din Tai Fung?
I don't know. I want to say maybe Din Tai Fung, but I don't know. But either way, he and his team have won awards. Okay. And the sister-in-law is like a chef at like some hoity-toity French restaurant. Yeah. There is amazing closure here. Wait, you don't even know. Okay, wait. Hold on. Wait. So then, the sister has always been saying all of these like very microaggression, borderline overtly racist.
Bitch.
Yeah. Saying things like, "Oh, that's not how you're supposed to do it." Whenever, she would see him cooking in the kitchen for the family meetings or, holidays and stuff.
I hate her.
And a lot of stuff happened, but either way, you should watch those videos, but there's these amazing, wait. So here we go.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay.
Suffice to say, it's been kind of nuts this past week. My wife and I had to turn off our social media for a bit because of the shitstorm caused by her cousin putting my last post on Sarah's Facebook. Sarah is a sister-in-law, if you remember. Some people even try to call the restaurant I work at to get me fired as retribution.
Oh my.
I bet we could all guess the color of those people. But luckily, everyone there is 100% on my side. No, get out of here. Oh, Chinese restaurant on a Chinese restaurant side. Or as my boss put it, quote, "Fuck Sarah. Fuck those racists. Fuck them so goddamn much." End quote.
Am I his boss?
I guess it didn't help them that half the calls involved threats, screaming, and surprise, more racial slurs.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah. It's a good way to get your point across.
Yeah.
We didn't hear any updates from her family, even though we assumed the shit met the fan after mother-in-law found out about father-in-law's threatening voicemail, where he used the C slur, if you remember.
Oh my God.
Still disappointed in you, Doug, he wrote in parentheses. But that changed on Sunday night when mother-in-law suddenly showed up at our door with overnight bags.
Wait, the divorce is...
Yeah, remember? Last week, the last time I was like, I hope there's a divorce. And I was like, I hope it's with the parents.
Oh my God, that is... Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. After we took a moment to help unpack and calm down, she spilled the beans on everything. Here we go. He even sectioned this off. Father-in-law, a.k.a. Doug.
Fuck you, Doug.
Apparently, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were already having trouble in their marriage, and it was only made worse with a certain 2016 presidential election.
Hey, there it is.
She's a Democrat, and he had apparently gone more far-right since then. Seems that a line was crossed with the Kung Pao incident and his voicemail. When he refused to apologize for anything, typical Doug, it says, she asked for a divorce.
Wow.
And he went berserk.
Oh, wow.
She didn't feel safe there anymore, so that's why she came over.
No.
Also, the brother-in-law and other sister-in-law live out of town. This goes on to the next paragraph that he titled Extended Family, aka the Great Facebook War of 2021.
Wow.
You may have been able to tell already, but the extended family was largely arguing, fighting, and divided along political lines for a few years now, and my cousin's Facebook post was likely the light to set off the powder keg.
Shit.
According to my mother-in-law, the fallout has allegedly already led to some breakups, excommunication of some family members, and even arguments that have ended in police involvement.
Oh my God. This family's a fucking mess. Jesus Christ.
He says he hasn't been able to verify that last part though. And then the last paragraph is titled Sarah / sister-in-law.
Oh, Sarah. You're
According
going down in flames, Sarah. I can feel it.
Oh, it's going to be so bad. According to my mother-in-law, Sarah came over to her place on Friday before she left. The writing was on the wall, and she basically was forced to quit. Despite her trying to start from scratch as a line cook, the entire staff turned against her. Nothing was coming back from the pit for her, and she was getting cold shoulders. Look, she's a great chef. I will admit this is true. But they took no chances since it turns out, shit you not, they're partly owned by a Chinese investment company.
Oh, Sarah, you stupid bitch.
Oh my God. That is the craziest spoiler
that's great.
ever. Who saw that coming?
So juicy.
That's like the kind of stuff you wish would happen, but only happens in like K-dramas.
I hope she chokes on a Szechuan peppercorn and it comes at her nose when she coughs and
on a
burns
little
away.
baby corn. Wait, found this hard to believe and didn't want to add to this detail, but it turned out to be true after some deep research. Won't say anything further for privacy. Word also got around in the local industry, and Sarah is essentially blacklisted from all the high-end establishments in the city.
Oh my God, Sarah, you fucked yourself.
She's now considering selling her home and moving to a different city to find work.
Oh, that's terrible.
As
Couldn't
much,
have happened to a nicer person, Sarah.
As much as I don't like her and found her behavior horrifying, I didn't intend for this to happen. So I've reached out to some buds in other states to see if they had any openings.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Whether or not she wants to take it up is up to her.
No, she's too proud.
And no, she has not apologized for anything, but I still want to be a decent person to her.
No.
It sure as hell doesn't feel like a happy ending. Oh, it does for us.
I feel deeply satisfied.
Yeah, so
deeply satisfied.
He writes, perhaps bittersweet justice, but that's all I can give you. Thank you all for your support and for your reading.
Wow.
The restaurant she worked for is partially owned by a Chinese investment company.
I don't smoke, but I feel like I need a cigarette right now. So satisfying.
That would be so satisfying.
Wow. Oh, Sarah, you dumb bitch. You got what you deserved. Oh my God. That's it, huh?
Yeah, karma is real. Sometimes a little slow.
I don't know if it, a lot of people use karma as the thing. I don't think it's karma. I think you just,
get what you deserve.
You get what you deserve. And just, you put out when people will start to believe you when you show them who you are.
Yep.
And once that starts happening, you can't come back from it. Can you, Sarah? No?
Or Doug.
Yeah. Sorry, Doug.
Sarah and Doug, have fun with each other.
You guys should go on the road together.
That's all you have now.
I love that the mom was like, peace. Actually, my next door neighbors are getting divorced because of these they're like politically
really
growing apart is what the wife said. I was like, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen your husband in a minute.
People keep saying politics, but let's be real. The politics are showing their nature.
Right. What's happening is people are starting to really, exactly. The politics is a catalyst for you to to finally start recognizing who you married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's impossible to start ignoring the red flags when they start explicitly showing who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When the red flags start glowing.
Yep. Right.
And beeping.
Right.
You can't
slapping you across the face.
Yeah. in the wind, you know, and blowing and right in your face.
Isn't that right?
It's hard to ignore.
Wow. Well, that seems like a perfect place for us to come to an end.
Yeah,
That was great.
and a great way to start off the year, I think.
Woo! I feel good. How do you feel? You feel good? You feel the snuggly?
Well, hopefully 2024 is full of great, happy endings like that.
Don't be gross and racist when we say that.
Oh my God.
Oh, you look at your sweater.
He said, like, I'm in a straight jacket, damn it.
Somebody help me, please. Oh, this poor guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
You're a mess. You're a mess. Let me help you get this one out. Let me get this one out. Oh my gosh. Don't bite me. I'm trying to help you.
Quite literally, do not bite the hand that feeds you.
Hello. I'm trying. Listen. There. You're naked. That's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing for you. You're naked. Okay, bye.
Well, on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on our adventure. Thank you again. If you would like to be able to help us keep this podcast sustainable by becoming a producer, please make sure you join us on our Patreon, whatever the right words are there. Otherwise, make sure you find us on our socials.
You can find me at Sujo1 on Instagram and TikTok.
You can find me at Etch-a-Sketch with a J on everything. You can find the podcast at What in the Shibal, that's Shibal. You can also find this little guy at Archie and Colt, that's Archie with an IE on Instagram. Also, if you would like to write in, we have a lot of write-ins that we would like to catch up on a future episode.
Yay,
but that
it's my favorite.
What in the Shibal, Shibal @gmail.com. Otherwise, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and...
Oh, what? I just felt
that bell.
I felt moisture. I was like, did you pee on me? No, he didn't.
Otherwise...
Sorry.
Thanks, and we will catch you on the next one. Okay, bye.